Interact with water, learn about other countries, ride the slowest roller coaster in the world, all at Disney's EPCOT. Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. As hinted by the name, experimental prototype community of tomorrow, EPCOT was originally designed to be a utopian planned community. It was planned to replace urban sprawl, but a real city nonetheless. EPCOT was supposed to have commercial, residential, industrial, and recreational centers connected by a mass transit system, which included buses, Skyliner, boat, and other modes of transportation. Walt Disney intended it to be a continuously developing, living blueprint of the future. These plans, however, were put aside after Walt's death in 1966, and Epcot was reimagined as a theme park in, I think, 1971. While many elements of the original concept remain, the changes to these plans were part of the reason that the Florida governor went after Disney a couple years ago. But that's getting into political matters, and I don't want to do that, so we'll move on. Epcot has been undergoing a lot of changes since 2016 in an effort to revitalize the park and draw more interest, especially for families. Now, Epcot reportedly has some of the best dining of all the theme parks. Now, keep in mind, this is leaving out the resorts and Disney Springs dining options. It's just talking about the parks. We do make it a point to visit Les Halles every year, grab some fruit tarts, some eclairs, French pastries, and of course, a baguette or three. The line can be a bit long, and the dining area is always crowded. We've been there, I'd say, about 3 or 4 times now, and we've yet to be able to sit down inside of Les Halles. The food is so amazing that we don't mind standing outside if need be. There are some restrooms over there as well. They're small, single, unisex restrooms off to the left if you are facing the bakery. So you'll likely be waiting in line here as well. Inevitably, somebody's going to come up thinking it is 2 different restrooms, one for men, one for women, whatever, and they'll try to go in there. I've never seen there really be an altercation because of it. Just politely explain to them that it's one line for both restrooms, and they usually go to the back of the line or find another restroom close by. If you're looking for a fight, you'll get a fight, but if you're actually being okay, if you're being nice about it, you shouldn't have any trouble. Now, this year we visited Les Halles after Remy's Ratatouille adventure to start our day. Now, this is a trackless 4D experience accompanied by 3D video, scents, heat, etc. It's located closer to the back, so by Epcot's rear entrance, the International Gateway. And we usually start out by heading to Hollywood Studios and taking the Friendship Boat over from there. There is no height requirement, no age restriction, and even though it is a dark ride, most people can handle the ride without issue, even if they're a little afraid of the dark. In the queue, you'll shrink down to the size of a mouse, move along the rooftops of Paris towards Cousteau's restaurant to join Remy and friends in the kitchen. There's a lot of action, and the ride is great fun for most. But this time, we missed the bus from Fort Wilderness to Hollywood Studios. So we took the bus directly to Epcot instead. That's bringing us up into the front entrance. At the front of the park, the first ride you're going to encounter is Spaceship Earth. Many people think, hey, there's a ride queue. They hop right in. They don't really know what they're getting in line for, and they really don't know much about that ride in particular. Spaceship Earth is the ride inside the giant golf ball. I know it's not a golf ball. It looks like a golf ball. We're just going to call it what it is. It's registered as a roller coaster because of the track system, but it goes a whopping 3 miles an hour, and it takes 15 minutes just to ride it. That's not including standing in line. It is in desperate need of an update, and one was scheduled a few years back, but the COVID closures had other plans, and reports are that refurbishments are still on hold. The length of the ride, combined with the amount of time that you'll spend in line, the slow speed, and the meh storyline, make this a ride you can easily skip without those fear of missing out woes that you would from, say, Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe if you just want to sit down for a few minutes, get in out of the elements, or just say you've ridden everything at Walt Disney World, it's worth the wait. But otherwise, personally, I would just move on from this one. Besides that, Test Track is right there as well. So if you're trying to get on this, be sure to check the name of the ride you're lining up for before doing so. I've heard this referred to as Daily Commute the Ride by many, but personally, I find this to be quite fun, even though the VR aspect has been removed. And possibly even because the VR aspect has been removed, I might find it more fun than if it were the VR ride still, where you're wearing the goggles and outside you can't really see what you're going around. I think it's actually more fun just to watch it. Now, I've never ridden it with the VR, so if you have, please let me know in the comments if you can provide a comparison, and that would be great for most of our viewers and for myself as well. This is sponsored by Chevy. Now, guests 40 inches or taller can design their own vehicle, head out on a test ride on a 3-story high track, complete with 50-degree angles, reaching speeds up to 65 miles an hour. As I said, I think it's fun, but that might be just because there's no bumper-to-bumper traffic. Smaller kids get to design their cars, and the little would-be drivers do seem to love it. Even actual drivers, people with licenses, do tend to love it. My daughter designed a truck for it a couple years ago, and she had a lot of fun doing that, as well as just going on the ride. And she's in her 20s. So announcements have been made, though, that the ride is going to be reimagined, but no details or dates have been given just yet. Coming in the front entrance, we walked past all of this, and we started our way towards the France Pavilion for early park entry. We were held at a walkway where people were told to stand inside the circle. Confusion began because there was a series of concentric circles here. We weren't there long enough to nitpick, but this little section of the park where they hold you for early park entry in Epcot, that is a section that used to light up, and they used to have little water fountains shooting across the walkway. The water fountains are gone. The lights are back now. So if you see that at night, it'll be well lit and it'll be coming up from the ground, and it's a much different experience than if it's just dark. As we made our way back, though, we received notice that our Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind virtual group was going to be at 11 a.m. By the time we were off of Remy's, this changed to 3 p.m. And it kept getting pushed back further and further. In fact, it was probably about 8:30 p.m. when our group was finally called. The boarding time was shortly before Epcot closed, and we were way over at Magic Kingdom. So this year, nobody in the group made it to Guardians. I tend to stay off this one anyway because of the backward section of the ride. It is a reverse launch roller coaster. This did not affect me in any way because I never ride it anyway. It does have a 42-inch height requirement, and you can only get on it, as of the time of this video, by virtual queue or by individual lightning lane. You can sign up for virtual queues by using your My Disney Experience app. You must sign up at predetermined times. Now, usually those are going to be 7 a.m. or 1 p.m., but this is subject to change. For the 1 o'clock queue, you must be in the park, but with park reservations having disappeared and all-day park hopping being back, this may have changed, so be sure to check before you plan a visit to each park. Now, virtual queue does not guarantee that you'll get on the ride either. This may be based on the number of people in the park, park hours, breakdowns, as was with our case, etc. Different things will affect different reasonings. Typically, you'll have about an hour to check in once your boarding group is called. So don't worry too much if you're busy with something else. Just do your best to get back in time. And this is true for all rides using the virtual queue system in all parks, by the way. Now, around Christmas time, they were giving you 2 hours to get back. So keep an eye on your My Disney Experience app, and that'll tell you what time you need to be back there. If you can't get back there right on the dot, if you're like 5 minutes late, just let the cast member know what was going on. Maybe you were eating, maybe you were in line for another ride. They'll do their best to accommodate that. But if you're like an hour late for your return time, they're probably not a lot that they're going to be able to do. Now, there's still quite a bit going on at Epcot, but World Showcase, World Discovery, and World Nature have all reported completing construction, with some new attractions coming to World Celebration opening sometime this year. That's going to include Communicore Hall, a planned multi-use facility for festival activities and concerts at the Communicore Plaza, Mickey and Friends, which is a character meet and greet next to Communicore Hall. In 2023, a Figment meet and greet was opened, along with Moana's Journey of Water. So the walls are starting to come down over here at Epcot. Journey of Water, of course, is the interactive water walkthrough attraction where you can get as wet or stay as dry as you choose. There are marked paths to stay completely away from a chance of getting wet. But other things like how fast or how slow you walk can make an impact on whether or not you're going to get splashed. So if you're going through that wall of water, if you walk fast, the water does not separate. If you're walking slow, it gives it time to separate and you can walk through there, maybe get a couple of drops on your shoulder, but you won't get too wet for that. We did stay away from that. It opened in October of 23. We were there in December of 23. We stayed away from that because the temperatures had dropped that day and we didn't want to run the risk. We did not know at the time that there were paths that you can go through that keep you completely away from the water. So now that we know that, this year when we go back, we'll probably go through that as well. We stayed away from Frozen this trip as well. We rode it for the first time in 2022. We were pretty disappointed at the lack of theming. With as little as was done, it may as well have just been left the former Viking ride. I get the appeal. The ride does have some fun moments, so if you have fans of Frozen, it's definitely worth going on. But if you are not a big fan of Frozen, or you don't have that little one that really just wants to see Elsa and Anna, I think her name is, see how much I care about Frozen, then if you don't have that one, it's not worth it for you. If you do have the one that wants to see that, go on it. They'll love it. One area that I particularly find very interesting is the Seas with Nemo and Friends Pavilion. There is, of course, Turtle Talk with Crush, which we've not yet done. The Seas with Nemo and Friends Dark Ride, where riders of any height and any age can climb aboard a clammobile, going through coral reefs, dodging jellyfish, mines, Brewster shark, and other dangers, and just keep swimming until they find Nemo. But there's a huge aquarium there. It has manatees that can't be released into the wild because of injuries, sharks, many species of fish. As with many exhibits in Epcot, you can learn a lot from this one as well. You can also catch them while they're cleaning the tanks. There'll be scuba divers in there, and feeding the marine life. And then this is where those sea urchins that have taken the Mickey Mouse hats, they drop little Mickey hats into the tanks, and these sea urchins actually are wearing them, and that was completely unplanned. You can also pick up a free scavenger hunt booklet at the exit. You can help with that. You can help Dory and friends complete their mission, learning marine biology facts and collecting stickers along the way. We also skipped Journey into Imagination with Figment this year. Another all-ages ride with a special surprise at the end. This is why we skipped this ride. We tend to stay off that unless we're with somebody new that hasn't ridden it, and then we'll take them on that ride just because the look on their face at the end of it is well worth waiting in line. And usually it's pretty much a walk-on, so if you're just wanting to get another ride in or sit down for a minute, that's a good place to go. But beware at the very end. I'm not going to tell you what happens if you don't know. You'll find out. We never miss a chance to jump on the Three Caballeros Grand Fiesta Tour. Yet another no height requirement slow ride inside the Mayan Temple of the Mexico Pavilion. We start off going through the San Angel Inn. This is the restaurant with the best theming and reportedly worst food in all of Disney. You're going to be in search of Donald, who has gone a little crazy on vacation. For a while, one of the animatronics was missing, and that was Donald. Replaced by a plant, now all three amigos can be found again, or all three caballeros. Three Amigos is a completely different movie. We hit Soarin' over California. Now, this was a temporary setback to its original form, but it was a limited run that ended on February 27th. Once again, it is back to Soarin' around the world. Apparently, on Around the World, you need to watch for an eagle, or maybe it's a hawk, close to the end. That makes my wife Dana scream every time. There is a 40-inch height requirement, and while it is a pretty mild ride, there's some mild drops and some twists and curves and things like that. It is a little high up for some. Just don't look down and you should be fine, but we've all watched the movies. We know what happens when you tell somebody, don't look down. Inevitably, they look down. While over at World Nature, we also hit Living with the Land, which is another no height and no age requirement ride, starting off with a brief history of agriculture and heading into an area showing how Disney is making strides at conservation and self-sufficiency, as much of what is grown here is used at the Disney parks. Looking back at this video, maybe Epcot was always a family-oriented park, but as adults, we were a little too focused on drinking around the world. Of course, we ate. There's always reason to celebrate at Epcot with many festivals highlighting food from around the world. Festival of the Holidays shows what some countries not only look like during the holidays, but also what they taste like. There are many great restaurants that are always there as well. In the past, we've eaten at and loved Chefs de France. It's a little pricey, and it may be not the best choice for some picky eaters, but it is really good. I had the steak, and I mean, I've been dreaming about it ever since, but it's on the pricier side, so we haven't been back for that one. In 22, we went to Via Napoli. It's got 3 ovens there representing the active volcanoes in Italy. I'll say this, sitting at the table, the pasta looked bad just coming out of the kitchen. It looked like it was overcooked. The pizza's okay, but there's a reason that most vloggers will tell you to get it well done. The crust is so thin, you cannot pick it up without it falling apart. To be honest, the pizza left a little to be desired for me. I've heard a lot of people saying it's like authentic Italian pizza, and that may be true, but it was not authentic to any of the regions of Italy that I visited. If you like fish and chips, there's a couple of places that you can get that over in the England Pavilion. One is a sit-down, one is a quick service. It's the same kitchen. It's the same fish and chips. I believe it's Rose and Crown. Germany has some decent options, but I still feel this pavilion is a little underrepresented, and it really only has some stereotypical aspects that I think apply mainly to Munich, the Bavarian region of Germany. You know, the Werther's caramel Küche. I've never seen stuff like that in Germany. I lived there off and on for 9 years. I've been to Nordrhein-Westphalia, which is where Cologne and Bonn are. And I lived in Berlin off and on for all that time. And I actually, when I was living in the former Soviet Union, I was there because of the German embassy. So I have a lot of contacts to Germans, to German culture, and this was not it. And maybe all the pavilions are stereotypical. It's just because I lived there for so long, I'm a little more sensitive to it. Now, one thing that I can say that was very, very accurate, and you can get that at the Germany Pavilion, is this. This is called Feigling. This is a fig liqueur. They have the big bottle. It's huge. In Germany, you can get these in smaller bottles than this that comes like 12 in a pack. I got this one at a grocery store in Berlin, right there by the checkout. So it's like one of those impulse purchases. And I've been told by several friends that I've given that to them it tasted kind of like alcoholic Kool-Aid in that it is very sweet, but it is very typical German. This year, in 23, we ate at Regal Eagle Smokehouse. Has good food, but not so great atmosphere. Bunch of picnic tables, kind of more like a mall cafeteria, the food court at a mall, something like that. The sauces were thin. I mean, it was a Caroline-based sauce, barbecue sauce. Look, I'm a Texas boy. If you put Mexican food or barbecue in front of me, it better be good. And the sauce was just water thin. It didn't stick to anything. So it didn't really add anything. Now, the burnt ends were okay. We had the burnt end mac and cheese. I forgot what everybody else had, but the food itself was okay. The sauce did not complement it, and the dining area was just a little crowded. In fact, we put our stuff down. Somebody got up to go get napkins, and then people tried to start crowding in thinking that we were getting up. And I mean, the food was on the table. Like, we hadn't even had a bite of it. So that's how crowded it is, and that's how we'll say the predatory practices of trying to get a table are fairly bad there. Now, where you get the most creative food, though, it seems to be those festival booths. Even though many restaurants have great reputations, the festival booths are going to be the unique items. With these, though, you can't be afraid to eat standing up, and you may even be using a trash can top as a table. Let me know your favorite place to eat in the comments below so I can try it on our next trip, and so our viewers can check out something new as well. And that about covers our day at Epcot. With more and more walls coming down, it's sure to feel like a completely different park when we return in December of 24. This is going to be my last Disney video for 2024. We have so much more planned this year, including a trip to Kings Island in Ohio, City of Giants in Illinois, a Bigfoot festival in the Smoky Mountains. So be sure to not only like and comment on this video, but also subscribe to our channel as well. If you like the original music that I've used in the background, you can find that on your favorite streaming app or right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.
Let's hit the road.